The diner buzzed with weekend chatter, silverware clinking against porcelain as families laughed over pancakes and eggs. Amid the cheerful noise, a man in a faded denim jacket stepped in, holding the small hand of a girl who couldn't have been older than 6. Her sneakers were mismatched, her curls wild, and her dress, clean but worn, hinted at a life that hadn't been easy. They chose the corner booth, quiet and out of the way. He smiled at his daughter as he opened a worn children's book for her to read, eyes tired but warm. A few tables over, someone whispered, "He's here again," followed by chuckles. A group of well-dressed patrons glanced their way, noses wrinkled as they passed judgment. "That kid always looks like she rolled out of a thrift store. And he never orders much, probably just sits here for the heat." The father kept his head down, pretending not to hear. But his little girl heard. She always heard. She looked up at him. "Daddy, are we bothering people?" He swallowed hard. "No, baby. We're just having breakfast." They shared a single plate of pancakes and water. She tore hers carefully, making it last. Her father didn't eat. The waitress, Sarah, noticed. She'd seen them before, always quiet, always kind. She'd heard the whispers too, but she didn't like them. Something about the man's eyes told her he carried a storm behind them. And yet, he always smiled for his daughter. When she came to clear the plate, she gently asked, "Will that be all today?" He reached into his coat and pulled out a handful of crumpled bills. "Just the pancakes." "Thank you." She nodded and left, but not before seeing the way he quickly counted the money, then looked at the door, calculating if they had enough for the bus ride home. Back at the counter, the whispers continued. "If you can't afford to eat, don't come." Sarah had enough. She walked into the kitchen, spoke quietly to the manager, then returned with a fresh plate, eggs, bacon, toast, fruit. She placed it in front of the girl. "We had extras," she said with a wink. "Thought you might help us not waste it." The little girl's eyes lit up. "Daddy! Look!" He looked up at Sarah. "Thank you. But..." She leaned in and whispered, "Let her eat. It's covered. No strings." He nodded, emotion catching in his throat. His lips moved, but no words came. Then the moment came that changed everything. A man from one of the laughing tables stood and walked over. "Hey," he said, loud enough for the room to hear. "You some kind of charity case? This ain't a soup kitchen." Before the father could respond, the little girl slid out of the booth and stood between them. "My mommy died last year," she said softly. "Daddy says we smile through hard days, because that's what she would want. He's trying really hard. We don't have much, but he gives me everything. Please don't be mean to my daddy." The room fell silent. Even the clatter of dishes in the kitchen stopped. The man's face flushed, and he walked away without a word. Sarah returned, her eyes wet. She sat beside the little girl and hugged her. Then she did something unexpected. She turned to the father and handed him a small envelope. "This is from a customer who overheard everything," she said. He left without giving a name. Inside was $200 and a note that simply read, "To the father who's teaching his daughter what love really looks like. Keep going." Tears streamed down the man's cheeks. The whispers stopped for good after that. No more judgment. Only respect. And every Sunday after, the man and his daughter returned, not to hide in a corner, but to be greeted by name, with smiles and warm food, on the house more often than not. The waitress, Sarah, became a part of their family in her own way. And the diner? It changed too. People started paying more attention to the quiet ones in the corners, the ones who didn't have much but carried hearts full of love. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person, a waitress, a child, a stranger with compassion, to remind the world that kindness still matters. And that no matter how small the gesture, love always leaves the loudest echo.